There I am. Hi. Why is my music stopping? Okay. Welcome to episode Philo. We are starting a whole new story tonight. We are starting on story number 3. I have Robin Fisher, my better half and co-host. Robin Fisher knows way more about comics than I do. She used to host an international coast-to-coast radio show about comics where she'd interview like everybody about comics, and so she's like fantastic on keeping us on track with the story. And then today's guest is going to be Teague Tysseling. Teague Tysseling's an old friend of mine from the webcomic age, and still does caricatures, webcomics, and is also canine coach, and has puppy classes filling up next week, and that's always good to have puppy classes filling up.
Yeah, got
So
some folks with their new puppies, learning what to do.
yeah, so we're in a good spot. I'm gonna turn on the down tempo music now. We're in a good spot. We are starting a brand new story today, and let me bring up both our windows. Do you want to take first panel, or do you want me to take first panel, Teague?
You take first panel. I'll take second panel.
Okay, I'll take first panel. We are starting a brand new story today, so that means that we are starting from scratch. That means we don't know where we're gonna start. Talking before the show, we were thinking like if we continued some kind of continuity, maybe there's a time jump. Maybe Armand and Philo are on a cruise ship somewhere. I have to type in. I have to get my Huion tablet pointed at the right screen because I didn't even do tech check this morning. So there we go. Okay. But yeah, we're kind of trying to figure out what goes on in this panel, and
I think a boys' vacation is a good idea. That's where I throw my hat in the ring.
Is the dog and Armand and Philo all on a cruise ship or something together?
Yeah. Boys Gone Wild.
Is that our caption, Boys Gone Wild?
Yes. I think that's excellent.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay, I am going to change it in here. It still says that I'm in co-working and studying instead of art. So I'm going to change that real quick. We are in art.
Did I ask you this last time, Teague? What's your favorite dog?
You may have asked me. It's definitely pit bulls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got the wiggliest butts when they're happy, and their smiles go all the way around their heads.
Yeah, they're like the only dog that I can think of that consistently actually literally smiles, and I think it's the cutest thing ever. I really like exotic looking dogs. 2 of my favorites are the Russian Wolfhound. It looks like a giant black schnauzer, but when I say giant, like it's like
yeah, it's like, like you like lean on them, like
yeah. But I've seen one in real life, and it's so stately, and that one was very, very regal, and I was so very impressed with it. And then the other one I really liked when I saw it in real life was the Tibetan Mastiff, which looked like literally a giant lion. And that thing, that's not a good dog to have though, because apparently like they're very protective of their person. Yeah. And they can get really, really violent. But the one that I met like was quite docile around his person, and so we got to pet it, and I thought I'd never seen a dog like it before. I was like, this is crazy.
I've known 2 people with Mastiffs, and they are very protective dogs.
But this is the Tibetan Mastiff, and it is the size of a lion. Like, I'm not kidding. It is a huge fucking dog.
Yeah.
It looks like a chow chow, but like it's like 5 times as big.
Let's see. What what are we going to do after they're on the cruise ship? Because that's
Well,
gonna be
maybe we should
panel.
take this panel to explain why or how they're on the cruise ship. You know what I mean?
Well, I was just going to put them just laying out on the cruise ship. They're having a boys gone wild. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So-
But don't you think, should we bother explaining it, or should we just
I mean,
go like a train
so-
hurdle into the story?
Yeah, I think a train hurdle into the story, and I'm thinking, yeah, if it's a time jump, like I think we didn't see Philo have his confrontation with Bluto, right?
Mhm.
Like we saw him have his weird mind trip where he realized he needed to leave him. And then he ended up with the real Armand, or the brain Armand, the everything in the eye Armand. Are there two Armands?
I think the two Armands are one.
You think it's just one Armand?
The souls have merged,
Okay, so
create
it's just
one octopus.
one Armand, and okay, so what's going on in Teague's panel?
When I think in
Help
my
us.
head, this is what I see for a moment. I thought would be really cool. One thing I really loved is that it's seen in Fifth Element, where you see the giant cruise ship, but it's like in space.
Yeah.
So you expect it to be like this whole gorgeous beach ocean situation, but actually they're on a cruise ship, but it's in space.
Okay,
That's what I envision for the
So-
next panel.
so you
My
imagine
caption is ... in space.
Yeah, that would be that work. That works.
Okay. Yeah, that works. Okay, so yeah, I'll give it a slight curve, and then yeah, so we'll have like, you know, a nice like sunset back here and stuff, and then yeah, Boys Gone Wild in space. I love that, and then it's just zooming out of the boys having fun and enjoying their
Should the third panel be like what Brutus is up to?
I don't know. Is he still in the story?
Well, you seem to want to still have them have the final confrontation to break up.
Not necessarily. I mean, we gave the audience a good emotional breakup with Bluto.
The long,
You know?
strange trip.
You know, and you don't have to always do every bit of storytelling on screen.
True.
You know, you can do some storytelling off screen. I think it's okay if we just cut to now he's with that. And I'm gonna draw the little mushroom stowaway too.
Mhm.
And he's gonna have sunglasses on.
Yeah.
He's with them.
I mean-
he's hanging out.
Philo does not owe Bluto any more time in his head.
Yeah, you know, like this is
So
years
now-
later.
Then the third panel is just about all the fun they're gonna have together.
Let's see. Let's do something like that, and then yeah.
Pirates hijack the cruise ship.
Maybe. I mean, let's work on panel 1 and panel 2 first before we get to panel 3. And I'm gonna bug Magic
Ooh.
Marmot. See if he wants to come play with us.
What do you think, Meat Beep? Any ideas what should happen to them on their cruise?
I don't know if Beep Beep's still there. Oh yeah, and then that's the translator bot.
Universal Translator's there.
Yeah, Universal Translator's always there.
Universal
Universal
what are you
Translator
doing,
should be
dude?
working again. But what the problem was with Universal Translator last time was that he's using AI. Hi, Tangent. He's using AI to do the translations, and he ran out of his prompt like amount, his like prompt quota. You know, so he couldn't have any more prompts like that month.
Mhm.
And so that's why it stopped working. Let's see, and then let's have this. So okay, so
Cocktails and sunglasses, looking cool.
I like my new job, but my my new job is interesting. It's a comedy club, and it's definitely run like a comedy club. You know, it's a lot of creative people, and like the emphasis is on the comedy and not like on the food in the kitchen. And so I used to work in a dish pit of a Michelin star restaurant. And there are so many things that I've seen in the last 2 weeks at my work that like I know are not up to health code, because the chef at the Michelin star restaurant was really like stringent about health code, right? Like he would do a kitchen cleaning day once a week, right? Where we opened late after lunch, and because in the morning everybody was there at 6 a.m. cleaning the kitchen, right? Even the wait staff was cleaning the kitchen, and we cleaned the front room too, where we like move all the chairs and vacuum and everything like that, right? And so like some stuff like this needs to be done at this comedy club, and I asked, so when's cleaning day? And they're like, what do you mean cleaning day? And I was like, well, when was the last time that all the chairs and tables were moved in the main room to vacuum underneath of them? And it's like, oh, I don't know, I think we haven't done that since before COVID. And it's like, oh my gosh, you know, like the dish pit, you know, I was doing a couple days in the dish pit, and it's like you turn over the big sheets and there's like caked up stuff on the rim. It's like just scrub it off. That's what steel wool is for. Just scrub it off. I originally had today off from work, but a bunch of folks were out today, so I was called in. I'm out of money, could only afford Uber one way. Fortunately, a coworker gave me a ride home tonight. I'm working on finishing the e-bike and we'll ride it in tomorrow, even though it's snowing tonight.
Oof, that's rough.
What, the e-bike?
In the snow.
Yeah.
Oh no, like just the whole everything all at once.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking out with the ride.
Yeah. Yeah. And so one of my managers, I had asked her like 3 days ago when we were going to get paid, and she didn't get back to me until today. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry about that, about not getting back to you for today. I pretty much have been in bed since Saturday. You know, my father died on New Year's Eve, and I've just been kind of dealing with it. And so my day was spent like texting back and forth with her, making, you know, like I'm not saying like making her feel better, but like, you know, like, are you okay? And you know, you still have his memories with you.
Being there for her.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I think we made like some headway on, like, I like her. She's a nice person, you know, and she's a hard worker, and she appreciates the fact that I'm a hard worker. You know, and so we were like doing gossip about work and stuff, and she was telling me about, you know, different people at work, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm sorry that I had this blow up with this one person at work. And she's like, oh, don't worry, she has a blow up with everybody, it's not you. And so it's like, oh good, it wasn't just me, I'm not crazy. Yeah. And and it was so high school, the blow up I had with her. She was one of the servers, and I'm technically security. And one of the you know, my manager asked me to run drinks for the servers, right? So I'm running drinks to the table, so then that way they can have their drinks before the show starts, you know, an all hands on deck kind of thing. And this girl apparently doesn't like it when people run her drinks. even though I was asked to do it by my boss. Yeah, and so she blew up at me. Yeah, that was nice. And when I was talking with my boss text today about it, I was like, you know, oh yeah, and then this was the blow up, and she's like, oh yeah, everyone knows not to run her drinks, and I'm like, well, no one warned me. No one told me not to run her drinks. Yeah, so it's an interesting place. Like I said, it's definitely a comedy club. It's definitely run like a comedy club. Everybody's more interested in the comedy.
Sure.
And so, you know, like the little things, the restaurant part of it is not as closely managed as like, we got to get shows booked, we got to get this person in, we got to make sure showtime starts at this, right? All that stuff is tight. But yeah, the rest of it is like, holy shit.
Speaking of comedy clubs, I live in a small city.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when people come to town, I'll just see them just because it's like, oh, someone interesting has shown up.
Yeah.
Pauly Shore is coming to town, and I was thinking of going to see him because a lot of apparently this show that he's doing is about his life at I think it was the Comedy Store, or
the Comedy Store. He grew up
there.
Mitzi
his mom
Shore
owned it. Yeah,
Mitzi
so
Shore.
I thought that'd be kind of interesting to see him talk about that.
Pauly's not a good person. I know Pauly personally. Okay. He's not a good person.
Well, then I guess I won't go. Never mind.
His brother Sean, everything in his power that Sean has done to keep that store running has kept that store running. Sean has booked acts. He runs payroll. He runs the wait staff. He runs, he makes sure that like the place runs, right? Pauly's job was supposed to be to get acts in the store, and Pauly went partying, right? And so during a period of time that it was his job to get acts in the store, he didn't book anybody. And so the store didn't have anybody booked. Instead, it had nothing but like bringer shows and like local nobodies for a period of something like 5 or 6 years, when his mother was really, really, really sick in the hospital. And Sean is still paying for drinks. He's still paying the rent, right? He's still paying people's payroll, right? But there's nobody coming in to pay for those things. So all of the stores, like Safety Net, all of their savings went to just keep the store running until all that money ran out. And one of Mitzi's last things that she did was to fire Pauly. That's why he's on the road again and not working at the store with his brother. Because when Mitzi died, his brother said, I can't have you here. Because all he does is just drink and party, and he doesn't do his job. He doesn't work. He has no work ethic. You know, and so now he's doing road comedy, which he really should have been doing like in the late 90s, 2000s, instead of partying, you know, and he didn't do that. And now he wonders why he doesn't have a career. And it's because he never put in the work for his career. His mom's career handed him his career. She built comedy in the 80s and 90s. And the store was a big part.
She also tried to break comedy in the 80s. Come on.
How do you
take off those rose-colored glasses. Well, they all went on strike because she wasn't paying any of them.
Yeah.
So she had scabs come in.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be getting paid right now if it wasn't for those that striked before you.
I agree with that. That she did get greedy in the 80s. But you know what? She never pulled that shit again after the strike. Because she talked with them and said, okay, we're going to work this out. And that's where the Bringer show came from, was out of that strike. So, I agree with you that, yeah, she got greedy with that, but it, at the same time, it's like, if you weren't playing the store, you weren't in the scene. So I've taken to using the word biscuits as an expletive. I picked it up from Negorix Emmy Montgomery. And the other day I dropped an entire tray of mail, which scattered on the ground, and ended up uttering biscuits loud enough to everyone in the post office to hear me. So say that. I swear for a moment you could hear a pin drop.
Mine's boogers on toast when I'm at work. Boogers on toast, or just boogers.
I work at an adult comedy club. I hear fuck all the time. like it's a nightclub.
So then you got to go the extra mile to really stand out with your swearing.
Yeah. Here's another thing about my work that's interesting. It smells like sewage.
Well,
yeah, it apparently, when they installed the complex that the improv is part of, they did not include a backflow preventer in the parking lot where the lines go right into the sewer line. And so what that means is that all of the sewer gas flows right into that line. And since the improv is the first business attached to that line from the sewer, it flows right into the improv. So, yeah, so it's like, it smells like sewage, and it's like, everyone's like, yep, it's our little secret. But it's like not our little secret. Like, you walk in and that's what you smell.
Yeah, it's not a secret.
Yeah, and so there's, well, again, that's the joke. Yeah. Yeah, and then so whenever customers ask about it, what I've been told to tell them is that, have you ever had a shitty landlord that just won't fix something that you keep complaining about? And so, yeah, so I guess the argument is the landlord says that it's the improv's issue to fix because it's in the wall. And the improv says it's the landlord's issue to fix because it's in the parking lot. And so they're at this stopgap where neither one of them wants to fix the problem because it's going to be like a $60,000, $80,000 problem to fix. And it's only affecting one business. So really, who cares, right? As far as the landlord's concerned. Yeah, so that's fun. And I found out that we don't have a liquor license right now. It's like I'm wondering like how many like toothpicks are holding this place together.
Yeah.
And I love comedy. Like, I love everybody that I've met that I work with, aside from that one girl that I had the blow up with because she didn't like me running her drinks, despite the fact that I was asked to do it by my boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, everybody else though has been cool as shit. And, it's just been interesting,
We've had like windstorms yesterday and today that have been like blowing everything everywhere.
Have you had snow?
Bad. Oh yeah, lots of snow. Lots of snow. But Canada, we get snow. Lots of snow. Like you guys.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm done with panel 1. I'm gonna move on to panel 3.
Like right now, it's howling. Like it's so loud, I can hear it just going crazy out there.
I always wonder when like the weather's like that about people like in the Middle Ages, you know, just like all hunkered down inside and like warm by the fire. When
Thinking
like
that
the weather
God's
would be
mad
like
at them.
that. Yeah, thinking, well, not necessarily that thinking that God was mad at them, but just
Yep.
smart enough not to go outside in it. You know, but today's day and age is like, oh, I gotta go to work.
Well, I remember when I was in China, like my first week there, we had a massive typhoon and we weren't supposed to go to work the next day because they were like, it's going to be bad, right? But actually, it was pretty chill. But a couple of people died in Hong Kong, and one of them, I was like, we were reading about him, and he was out and about. And it's like, well, you idiot, you're like on an island, and there's a massive typhoon. Like, what are you doing outside of your house? You're going to die. The fence blew and crushed them. But yeah. I was like in mainland, so there was still like quite a bit of land before it hit Guangzhou. Like there's Shenzhen and some other small little towns in between, and then Guangzhou. So for me, at one point, I went to the top of the apartment, and I was like, I totally felt like Storm. I was like, all the wind blowing all around me with the rain and everything. It was really cool. And then we had the day off the next day, and they were like, they couldn't retract it, even though nothing had really happened.
Let's see. Okay, so what happens after we see it in space? Is that they're on a
How about we have the ship's captain come and try to chat one of them up?
Okay, we can do that.
Maybe Armand to put a wrinkle in something, or if we want to keep it benign, maybe the dog.
I thought we were talking about pirates taking over.
Oh well, that was an idea too. I'm just throwing stuff out there to see what sticks. If you like pirates better, we can do pirates.
I just bugged Kay to come into chat. I just bugged Rob to come into chat. So
okay, thanks for coming into chat.
Here, let me see if I can.
Hey, I'm grateful that Tangent was here. They've been keeping us very interested.
Yeah, she's
cool
great.
Stories.
Tangent's great. Yeah, she's great. Let's see. Wanna come in Philo chat? I'm inviting people. I should have done this before. When we are on Saturdays, I would do it, but I rested before the show. I was lying in bed. Focused on inventory stuff, trying to find a wrench.
What's the riff tracks, Kay? I think I know. I think one of my friends is interested in that stuff.
Riff Tracks is great. Riff Tracks is Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah.
When the license for that was kind of up in the air, Mike Nelson basically did the same thing as Mystery Science Theater 3000 with the same guys that played Crow and Tom Servo, but without the puppets, right? And that's Riff Tracks. And so they also like have sometimes other people come in and do the riff tracks with them. Sometimes they'll have people do their own riff tracks. Like I know the Nostalgia Critic did that for a while. Did a couple riff tracks for them and stuff. But they're just hilarious. Like those guys, Bill Corbett and gosh, I'm trying to think of the other guy's name who plays Tom. But they're freaking hilarious. Like those two guys are two of my favorite comedy writers ever.
That was the show that I got into after Ren and Stimpy ended. Like I was so devastated when that Ren and Stimpy ended. I was like, there was like nothing as weird and as cool and as different on TV. And I was a teenager at the time. I was like 15, 16 years old. But then the next thing I glommed onto was Mystery Science Theater. And we were like, okay, finally something really weird and funny again.
Yeah. Do you remember how the original riff tracks were done, Kay, where you'd have to download the tracks separately, and then they would tell you, okay, start it at this time. And so you'd have to watch the movie with the sound low and then play the track at the same time so that it would sync up with the movie. That's how riff tracks was originally done. Now they have a channel on Pluto. Yeah, did improv with one of the writers.
I think that's also how the Teddy Ruxpin thing worked. Like you had to tape the Teddy Ruxpin, and you had to start it at the same time in the video so that you would respond to things happening in the movie.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, so what happens in panel 3? Are we going with pirates? Is the captain coming by? Is the captain pirate? Like, and then sync it. You would not need license for copyright of the movie. Yeah. So what's going on? What's going on in panel 3, guys?
Well, now that we have like 4 people in the audience, maybe they can come up with a idea.
Well, let's show them panel 1 and panel 2 since they weren't here first. So panel 1 is
and we should mention we're starting a new story arc.
Yeah, we're starting a new story. Okay, so panel 1 is Boys Gone Wild, which is Armand, Philo, the mushroom stowaway, and the dog on vacation.
A much needed break.
A much needed break. And then panel 2, which I'll throw in the big window, is in space.
The cruise ship is in space.
That's as far as we've got. So what happens now, guys?
So we came up with either pirates, or I was thinking the captain might schmooze one of them while they're relaxing there. I mean, I like pirates.
Yeah. So what's going on, guys? Talk to me, chat.
And if they're pirates, it'd be cool if they were like kind of really silly pirates. Because usually sometimes pirates are really scary.
So what? Oh no, pirates?
So, well, you had the Beagle Boys at one point. Like, I'm not saying bring back the Beagle Boys, but like something silly like that. You know what I mean? That they would be like the Three Stooges.
I don't know. We could have Beagle Boys pirates.
Well, I don't want to always throw back to other stories. I mean, it's cool and it works. Maybe the audience likes it, but at the same time, we have such a wide variety of things at our fingertips. We don't always have to
We're out in
use
space.
the same characters.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, how would the Beagle Boys get to space? I mean, they don't exactly have access to a rocket ship, so...
Yeah, it's not like Scrooge didn't build a bunch of them throughout the comics and the
cartoons. What's his name? Gyroscope? What's the inventor?
Gyro Gearloose.
Yes, Gyro Gearloose. He did it. He made some.
Yeah, he was the inventor. And he wasn't a duck. He was a chicken.
Yeah.
Was he? Oh.
Yeah.
It was something.
Yeah.
I was going to say he was a goose.
Yeah.
Let's see. The eye sculptor and the punch in the buffet spoke to them. Let's see. Okay, so I like the idea of I kind of like the idea of pirates on vacation. Let's see. Philo and Armand has some things to discuss. Dog and stowaway, mushroom play, shuffleboard. Let's see. And then hi T, hi Robin.
Hi kids.
Okay, so oh no. Pirates. We can have pirates play shuffleboard maybe.
So yeah, I think the Oh No Pirates, that panel should be chilling. You know what I mean? That should be like, oh, dark and scary. You don't know what's gonna happen, so that the impact of the silliness of it is better when they do show up, and you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, and what I think I'm gonna do for Oh No Pirates is I'm gonna have like a pirate ship pull up to the spaceship. Can I see your spaceship real quick, T?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
That's very Futurama to me. Oh, hey, incidentally, you know who did all the ships on Futurama?
No.
Who?
The comic book artist Dave Cooper from Ottawa. Who's currently touring Spain like a rock star.
Nice.
Yeah, he's on a tour. He's got a new book out of his art. So he's on tour for that. Lucky guy. But he also has a new comic that came out this summer, which has been like literally years. God, I want to say it's been like 10 to 12 to 13 years since he last did a comic. So that was
That
cool.
happens sometimes.
Yeah.
That happens
He's-
sometimes with artists.
He's pretty awesome. Like Guillermo del Toro absolutely loves him and commissioned him to do a giant art piece. So when there was a huge exhibit that was on tour that was basically Guillermo del Toro's like living room and other various like rooms in his house where you got to see like the fashions of his movies, props, his library, and a lot of the art that he had on his walls. And so he had a giant Dave Cooper painting. Dave was really popular around the world. I've got a couple of his early action figures, like a couple of his early characters. And this is a really interesting piece of trivia. Okay. So one of my favorite comic books that Dave Cooper did is called Pip and Norton. And it's these two goofy characters. And they're just like, the art is just fabulous. And the storytelling is just silly as heck. But it was written by this guy, Gavin McInnes. And Gavin McInnes was one of the co-founders of Vice magazine, which went on to become like the Vice channel and Vice documentaries and all that.
I remember Vice magazine. Yeah.
So, and it was a big deal. Like it was counterculture in Montreal. It was like a big deal, right? Anyways, the last thing that Gavin McInnes was known for recently is he no longer is, but he was the leader of the Proud Boys.
Oh, good.
Yeah. We were like, what the hell? How did he go from this indie comic pervert and being buddies with Pat McEwen and Dave Cooper to that? It's insane.
Oh.
So, what is happening in Teague's panel then? What's happening in panel 4?
Are the pirates attacking or are they boarding?
I feel like I want to see. I feel like the pirates. It's a panel of them like spilling out onto the board. They're like invading. You see them invading, but they're falling all over each other because they're bumbling idiots. Does that make sense?
They're like party crashers.
Yeah. I see it like a lot like the Three Stooges. I gotta be honest.
I love your like explosion of the rocket ship back there. That's just awesome.
No thanks.
Yeah. Just as an artist, I'm just admiring the effort you put into it. It's nice. Anyway,
Hey, Magic Marmot, could you remind me of what we're talking about that you saw that was amazing? Because I've already forgotten.
The oddities tour of Guillermo.
Oh, right, right, yeah. I got to see that in Toronto, so pretty lucky.
Could have been up a level just by actually living in the rooms on tour.
Yeah.
Just hanging out and there's like living room on display, watching TV.
Well, one of the things that was really cool is his library. I'm sure I've told you this before, but like it obviously dazzled me. He had a room set up with dark and stormy, rainy music playing, so while you're reading, that's what you hear. And he had windows with a constant video screen of a dark and stormy night. So he called it his Edgar Allan Poe library. And it's like he had all his books there and he had a big comfy chair. But then it was like, it always sounded like a dark and stormy night. And he had the fire burning cozily. And there was this warm little nook. And he had like a ton of comics. It was a really cool thing to see, quite honestly. I guess he's a nerd's nerd. You know what I mean? Like us nerds will find anything that he has in there really interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't able to go see it. It just was out of my price range at the time. Yeah. He had an Edgar Poe 2. Says Magic Marmot.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know. But he had it.
An Edgar Poe tote. Yeah, one of the things too that was really cool is he had the clothes from, I believe it was Crimson Tide that was his movie. Was that it? The Crimson...
Well, Lifesize replica of Poe.
Oh, a life-size replica of Poe. Okay, I get it. Oh, wow. I don't remember that, but I believe it because he's such a. I mean, he had so many props there, like Hellboy's hand and stuff like that. So a life-size Poe makes a lot of sense. But yeah, the Toronto, that's the Art Gallery of Ontario. They always have some really good art exhibits, and there's also the Royal Ontario Museum. Both of them have some really good exhibits. One of my favorite of all times is they had a giant exhibit, like it was huge, of original Christian Dior dresses and outfits. And like they had swatch books, they had button collections, they had like all these different things. And apparently there's this Canadian company called Holt Renfrew, and they had the license to recreate Dior looks from Dior, like they had permission. So there were all these amazing photos of like, Jewish 13-year-old girls at their bat mitzvahs in Toronto wearing original Dior's in the 50s. So you got to see the dress and see it on somebody as well. Like it was, that exhibit was fabulous.
Yeah, I think your love of fashion is a little bit different than my appreciation of fashion. Because you'll always share stuff with fashion. And I always share stuff with fashion, but I think you love fashion, and me, I look at it as macaroni fashion.
I mean, I know it's not like, I don't know. I find it beautiful. There's a lot of arts that I really love. Like I love architecture. I love pottery. There's photography. Quite honestly, all art for me is really beautiful in its way. So
yeah.
I don't know why I'm so into fashion, though. I'm not even fashionable. Like, the way I dress is such a schlubby person. I mean, when I clean up in my own cool way. But, yeah, I'm not very fashionable. I could be, I guess, if I had money. But I just love looking. I love looking at clothes. I love looking at buildings. Like, certain things I get obsessed with. Like, I remember I saw this movie about Halston. And his offices in New York were like on the, 40th floor of this giant skyscraper. And this was the 80s. And everything was like red velvet and mirrors. And I still think about that to this day, where I'm just like, that. It's gaudy, but it's such a look,
Yeah. Have you ever had red carpet?
No.
So I had an aunt who had red carpet because she always wanted red carpet. She thought it looked, rich and elegant and blah, 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 blah. Well, after she had red carpet, she said, never, ever, ever get red carpet. You can never keep it clean.
It's too hard, eh?
Red carpet shows everything. It shows all the light stuff. It shows all the dark stuff. It shows, like, if you get light lint on it, it will show that. If you get dark lint on it, it will show that. It will show footprints. It will show dirt. It will show dust. You can't keep it clean, right? And so she was like, worst mistake I ever had. I should never gotten red carpet. And I remember, she was so happy when she got it, of getting the red carpet. And then, all she did was complain about it when she actually had it.
Sometimes you just don't know till you do it, right?
Yeah.
I remember I moved into a room, back when I was younger, you move into a house and you get a room. This person had before me had painted it like eggplant, like the whole thing was like just deep purple, and I was like, what the hell? Yeah. And then after a while it really became quite soothing. It felt like a kind of velvet deep embrace when I would go into this aubergine room. It was you don't know until you try sometimes.
Well, with that, you can always break up the dark purple with posters and pictures and, something like that. And you're not necessarily touching the walls all the time to show handprints. But carpet in your house, you're always walking on carpet. It's down, things fall down. And so I always remembered that it's in Star Trek The Next Generation, that red carpet that they had for the bridge, Before every shot, they had to vacuum that carpet. And the thing is okay, that's funny, right? Oh, before every shot they had to vacuum that carpet, right? But think about that as the director, right? Before every shot you have to vacuum that damn carpet, right? I think that's why, like, after Next Generation, all the floors became like metal, like
hey, there's like a ton of comments, eh?
Oh yes. Let's see. Life-size replica. Hearing Dark and Stormy Night over and over again has me envisioning the pirates being Snoopy and his brothers, but of course you don't use the word Snoopy for them. Spoony. Their shoulder parrot would be Woodstock. I'm more heavily into sound, lighting, props, effects, makeup. Mom had beige wool carpet in her house. Old carpet is bad. She had carpet in the bathroom. I mean, who has carpet in the bathroom? Old people have carpet in the bathroom because their feet get cold.
Yeah, but then most rich old people, like my parents, get heated tile.
Okay, no, not carpet in the bathroom. Rugs, yeah. You can wash rugs.
Yes, but poor old people get carpet in the bathroom. You know, they're thinking, oh, I'm getting the house carpeted. I might as well get the bathroom carpeted. So what's going on in your panel?
The pirates are
What are you
invading.
doing, Teague?
They're crashing the party.
Nice.
I got pirates swinging and boarding the cruise ship.
Nice. The cruise spaceship. The cruise vessel.
Yep, with the space pirates.
Yeah. When I did this on Saturdays, I would bug people in Messenger on Facebook and be like, you need to come in to Philo, and I'd send out like all these invites and stuff like that, but I haven't been doing it since we've been on Tuesdays, and I should probably do that.
Well, isn't this only our second Tuesday show?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were all in a video game. Yeah, I still, I'm trying to come up with some kind of decorum for what we're doing.
You'll get there. I mean, we already have recruited a regular audience.
Yes,
so.
but I had to remind them about the show. I had to go, hey.
It's not terrible.
Hey.
They still all showed up, which is really nice.
Yeah. Hey, remember my little show that I do sometimes? You guys want to come and play with me while I do my little
We've been
show?
getting some really good guests that you've like gotten us some really good guests. Like the last 3 weeks have been excellent, including this week.
Well, Teague's always a good guest. He's great.
Right.
And Thomas Perkins was a fantastic guest and excited to be on the show. He's going to be on the show again in May. Next week we have Daniel Scott Gabriel Murray, who is a Topps card artist as well as a cover artist for various other comic book companies and stuff like that. And so I don't know if we will bring up our mutual friend on the show, but we met through a crazy guy who is crazy. And I don't know if we're going to share stories of the crazy guy or not. If we do, all names will be changed to protect the guilty.
Redacted.
Yeah, we'll probably call them like Mary and Ben or something like that, like the two people that we met through.
Okay.
They were crazy. They still are convinced that, like, now mind you, they're Apple people, okay? They're still convinced that I like installed the virus on their computer and like destroyed their computer somehow, and that I'm like spying on their computer, like through this virus that I apparently installed, and this would have been 12 or 13 years ago that I installed this virus on their computer. Right?
That's some paranoia there.
Yeah, no, these people are crazy. Like flipping nuts. Like flipping nuts. And so I don't know if we'll share stories of the crazies, but they are crazy. And yeah. Anyway, Daniel used to be a cop. And so he has a lot of cool stories of used to be a cop stories. And he's a great artist, and I think it'll be fun to have him on next week. Not used to Tuesday yet, says Magic Marmot. And then been there. Yeah. Okay, so I am ready for panel 5. And so if the pirates are invading, then what happens after the pirates invade?
Well, I'm leaving this one up to the audience because they've contributed nothing today.
No, we have shuffleboard being played.
Yeah.
Let's see, they're here for the buffet, says Kay.
Where's Riley when we need her?
Are they gonna oh yeah, oh, I didn't invite Riley. That's right. You know what? It's a school night.
Yeah, it is.
So they may not be there. Let's see, move to Tuesdays. And it's late. School night. Let's see, buffet full of salmon. Okay, so they're after the buffet.
Kay is really fixated on buffets tonight, so I say we meet that need.
Okay.
Buffets and butts? No Dale.
Yeah, no Dale tonight. I could invite Dale. See if he's doing this, but I need to do this before the show, the invites. No Philo chat tonight. Sad face. So he knows I'm sad. Okay, so what happens?
One of the kids' books I have in my collection is called How I Became a Pirate. It's pretty good.
That's not the book that says pirates would never hurt their friends by taking things that don't belong to them. That's not that book, is it?
No, that's not it.
Okay.
It's by the guy that does those books. I don't like the books because I don't agree with constantly telling a child no, but there's those books, No, David. So that artist did another book called How I Became a Pirate. It's about this boy who goes to the beach and these pirates encounter him and they're looking for a digger and he just happens to be digging a castle. So they're like, okay, we're taking you and you're going to dig for us so we can bury our treasure. And he's like, well, you can bury it in my backyard. Nobody's going to look for it there. And, and then the next day he went off and played soccer. But yeah, it's just about a kid having an adventure with pirates. It's good. So it's kind of, actually, now that I think about it, it's sort of like Where the Wild Things Are, because he's like, he doesn't brush his teeth and he doesn't eat broccoli. Like, he gets to do whatever he wants to do because pirates always do what they want, right? But then at the same time, when he sleeps over with them, nobody reads him a bedtime story. Nobody kisses him goodnight. And everybody's piled on top of each other and they're all smelly and stuff. So, the next day he's glad to go home to mom and dad.
Yeah. My favorite kids story growing up was A House is a House for Me.
Oh, I don't know that one.
A hole is a house for a mole or a mouse, but a house is a house for me. It's a little like poem, and all it does is just describe little homes for things, like shoes are homes for your feet, gloves are homes for your hands.
Right.
It's just a silly thing, but it has a really great rhyme scheme to it. and it's just cute art. It's pointillism art, and so it's like realistic art. I always liked the art in it, and yeah, it was always my favorite kids book growing up.
I'd have to say, like, as a kid, and I know this because I have one of the books now, I was weirdly obsessed with like Richard Scarry's Book of Color, because it's like each page is like everything is one color.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like red, and then it shows all these different things that are red, but it's like, I don't know. I really love Richard Scarry's book.
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid.
Are you just drawing a random assortment of space pirates?
Isn't that what he's supposed to do?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to know if we were drawing specific pirates of a specific species, but I guess they're just random.
No, whatever you want to make a space pirate.
Okay.
Dude, that's what we're fun.
It's the Space Pirate Circus.
Okay.
Hey, you have a new listener.
Hi, Lorenzo. Lorenzo DeBoss, 2010. Hello. Yeah, I love drawing too.
Lorenzo, this whole thing is about drawing. And comics, but drawing. Piratus Salmonus. I feel like these pirates are from British Columbia. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Magic Marmot. He wants to know, is that a butt with an eye patch?
I thought it was a brain.
What is it, Teague?
Oh, it's totally a brain in a jar.
Oh, it's a brain in a jar. It's not a butt with an eye patch.
Could be a butt with an eye patch.
I thought it was a butt with an eye patch. There's no brain wrinkles. How were you supposed to know that it was a brain?
I'll get to that.
No, I'm just psychic. Lorenzo. One of my favorite things, did you guys ever watch that, the Brain TV series? What was it? The iZombie. Did you ever watch iZombie? It was based on a Mike Allred comic, and it was pretty funny because she could like channel the person by eating their brain. So, but what she would do is she would always make like these great food dishes where it didn't really look like brains. You know, scrambled eggs, but really it was scrambled brains. Shrimp salad, but really it was brains. And then she'd figure out who murdered the person.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wanted to watch that one. Never got around.
It was quite charming. I quite enjoyed it, but I don't think I finished it. I think it started getting super serious in the last season, so I don't think I finished it.
iZombie was another attempt by the man to help acclimate us to cannibalism. I feel like
cannibalism
comic shows. Yeah.
Okay, Dale.
Dale has a theory that the government and everything is trying to push us towards being cannibals.
Okay, yeah, well, I think that really boosts this theory, iZombie. But the thing is it was written by a Mormon, so how do you... Actually, I don't know if Mike Allred wrote it. I think he might have only just have drawn it. I gotta look that up. My memory is failing me. I feel like maybe Chris Robinson wrote it, but the zombies, the cannibals, the government, what? Oh yeah, the Riverdale stuff was terrible. Oh, I had a hard time with that. iZombie was filmed in Canada. Yeah, it was filmed in Vancouver. Alright, let's see. Who wrote iZombie comic? Chris Robertson, I was right! Oh my god, my stoner memory actually comes through. But yeah, Michael Allred drew it, and he's Mormon. But I don't know anything about Chris Roberson's morals.
I feel like if we're gonna have space pirates, one of them needs to be a giant cockroach.
Yeah, that would work.
How giant?
Would he have like breathing apparatus so he could like survive in space? That's what I see.
Oh, let's go and
Oh,
trigger
I was just kind of going towards the like. I was going to the treasure planet rules too, that everyone kind of can breathe in space.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Yes, Dale, we're doing Space Pirates, Dale. Oh my god, did you guys watch that new Star Wars series, The Skeleton Crew?
Oh, I just finished it. I love it.
I watched like 5 minutes of it and I looked at my brother and I'm like, this is Space Goonies. And he's like, yeah, it is Space Goonies.
Yep.
It is Space Goonies, yeah. You're not.
But here's the funniest thing. How I wanted to know, like, I wish to God I could check like Spotify and YouTube Premium Music and like all those algorithms, whatever that stuff is, because I don't know if you guys realized it, but the guy that played the main character's dad, the black guy, he's the lead singer to TV on the radio. Yep. And after every episode that I watched The Skeleton Crew, I promptly came upstairs and started re-listening to TV on the radio. So I was always wondering, like, I wonder if their plays went up after each episode.
Let's see. Dale says.
I mean, I got suggested a bunch of the Tick stuff after Jimmy Carter died. Because he was.
Wait, what?
They mentioned him in the pilot episode for the Tick, like the first.
Yeah, no, I know what the Tick is, but what does that have to do with Carter?
Because they were saving Jimmy Carter from communist.
Oh, he was in one of the episodes. Okay.
In the first episode.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then my entire feed got flooded with the Tick stuff.
The show that we're talking about, Magic Marmot, is called Skeleton Crew. It's a Star Wars spin-off with Jude Law and a bunch of kids, and they have to go on this adventure, and it's the amount of times I walk around my house just mindlessly mumbling, ain't never heard of no and it's so bizarre.
Oh, good old Smee.
There was some pretty good moments in that show, but it's more a show for kids, quite honestly. Like, I can see how kids would really, really like it.
Well, that's who it was built for, was kids.
Yeah.
They were the main audience that they were going after for it. But
so far, the stuff I've really loved is, the Ahsoka series, Andor, the Obi-Wan series. There was one more that was Mandalorian, was friggin' really fantastic, of course. So, and I like the Boba Fett series. I like a lot of what they've been doing. There's some stuff I haven't watched yet, though. Like, I haven't seen The Bad Batch. A bunch of the cartoons, I haven't really watched them yet. The Star Wars Tales.
Good. Have you watched those, like Rebels and what was the other? The original like Clone Wars like serial.
I watched both because there's two serials of Clone Wars. There's the Genndy Tartakovsky stuff, and then there's the stuff that came after that. I watched both of those when they were coming out. Yeah.
What's interesting about Clone Wars and Rebels is that they didn't really have a big budget for their animation. So they put all their money in the writing for those shows. And
wasn't Filoni from Rebels? What did they cut? Yeah, didn't he? He was Clone Wars. Dave Filoni was writing Clone Wars, and that's where they picked him up.
Yeah. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that like what I've heard in interviews and stuff at Comic-Con is when they originally pitched the show for 3 seasons, and they laid out the entire 3 seasons out on a board and planned the plot points for almost every single episode within like the first week of planning writing. And so they had a plan from like the first episode of where that story was going to go for the first 3 years. And I think it ended up going for like 7 seasons or so. So they were able to expand upon their plan, but that's why the writing was so tight for the Clone Wars series. was because like they had a plan and they stuck to it.
There's I don't know if you guys knew this or if you'd watched any of the yeah, it was in Mandalorian he showed up. Did you see the Korean actor who was one of the X-Wing fighter detective guys?
Yeah.
He's kind of a Canadian superstar up here. He was in a TV series called Kim's Convenience, and but it turns out he's like a giant Star Wars fan. So when they asked him to be on it, it was like he lost his mind. He was so excited to have like an action figure and everything. We're proud of our Canadian actors when they get famous down there.
But they have to come down to get famous.
It's true. It's true. I mean, you guys all love John Candy, but none of you really talk about his SCTV work. It's all his American movies, right? Same with Eugene Levy.
I love his
SCTV.
Yeah, SCTV work. I love Second City Television. I love it. I love that stuff.
Second City TV.
Yeah.
Catherine O'Hara, Martin Short, Eugene Levy, Joe Flaherty.
And I am a fan of Kids in the Hall. I think they had some of the most clever comedy in skit television.
Oh boy, do I love Kids in the Hall. You have no idea. No idea. I love them so much. Oh, I love them so much. You didn't know this, but there was a series that came out a couple years ago. Sorry?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I was just saying. I haven't watched the new Kids. Yeah. So there was one on Amazon.
The new series wasn't as funny as the old one. Yeah, there was a new. They did a new, but it wasn't as funny.
Yeah,
I did watch it.
Greed. How about Letterkenny?
Letterkenny is very Canadian, but I've actually not watched any of it because it's very hockey. Very hockey. But what I was gonna say is, Amber, there's a Canadian female comedy troupe that's very similar to Kids in the Hall that came out a couple of years ago called the Baroness Von Sketch Show. And
yeah,
so
you've mentioned them before.
They're really worth checking out on YouTube. They're quite funny. One of them started a TV series that's unfortunately now over, and she was a female cop in Toronto, and her partner was one of the black women from Orange is the New Black, and the whole show was about them becoming friends, and then of course solving crime in Toronto, and it was kind of silly at times too. It's called Pretty Hard Cases. It was good. I miss it. I miss that show. Whoa, Dale just had a big paragraph.
Canada and England and Australia are just breeding camps for actors. They have actor farms in England. If they don't get a BBC show, they are killed and fed to the other actors as part of a full British breakfast. Australia has experimented with surgically creating actors from pieces of other actors.
Okay.
I guess it's a good export.
Just more for that cannibalism theory.
Okay, speaking of Australian actors, here's my question. What happened to Mel Gibson's accent?
No.
I'm just saying the man originally from Australia in the first Mad Max, very thick Australian accent, and then he just dropped it like a hot rock, and now he talks like he's American.
More lucrative to his movie career.
Do you think he like does that on purpose, or do you think like when he's just walking around just being himself, he like has his Australian accent?
Yeah, I totally think that's the case.
Yeah, he sold it on
or
eBay.
Was he replaced by a replica?
A replica. He's a replicant.
I don't know. It's possible. I don't want to get into politics. I'm trying to get...
Well, I think it's like black coding, right? Like black people, when they're around other black people, have a different way of talking. They call it coding. And then when they're around us white people, they have a different way of talking. Yeah, code switching. That's it. I'm sure it's the same with Mel Gibson and his Australian accent. He's just trying to be more palatable to his Midwestern American audience. Because he did that religious movie, right? Like, it's a
Passion of the
big
Christ.
deal. Yeah, it was a big
Passion of the
deal.
Christ.
But he lost his accent long before that. He lost it around Lethal Weapon.
So, well, I'm just saying, I think he probably just figures it's easier for dude in Iowa to relate to him without that heavy Australian accent that's so foreign. I mean, you have to remember he's from a different time. It was the 80s. The internet wasn't a thing. So international people making waves, it wasn't a thing. Like, don't you remember Crocodile Dundee? That was a big deal because he was this Australian guy, and the fish out of water. So like I said, I bet he watered it down so that people would like him more.
But it's kind of like being gay in Hollywood. It's like okay now, right? Like even Jodie Foster acknowledged her wife at the last award show that she accepted an award at, and she even said my wife on stage. And Jodie Foster comes out of the 70s. And she has been very, very quiet about her relationship, her entire relationship, but even she has stepped out of the closet and admitted that she's a lesbian. So if she can step out of the closet as a lesbian, I think it's okay for Mel Gibson to admit that he was born in Australia.
But there's a big difference between Jodie Foster and Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson went through a series of really hardcore scandals where he did not look good. And so he's still in this mea culpa phase, right? Whereas Jodie Foster never had to do that. She always looked good.
Yeah, his house burned down when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast talking about how wildfires and stuff were in LA because of, people were gay and stuff. He was seriously talking about that on Joe Rogan while his house was burning down. Yeah.
You should hear Joe Rogan talk about Canada. He's not the he's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Yeah. Not the sharpest knife in the crayon box.
That makes no sense.
Not the brightest crown in the crown box. Not the sharpest knife in the knife drawer. You mix them together. Not the sharpest knife in the crown box.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were mixing metaphors.
I was mixing metaphors. I was doing it on purpose, even.
Joe Rogan.
Let's see. Last Temptation. Oh, I know sometimes when with the Zorthian friends, my Zorthian accent comes out. New actors from Australia and England and Canada have a twist knob implanted into their man bag to dial in what accents they need by raising and lowering their plumes. Jodie Foster is a lesbian. Mel Gibson is a lesbian. Separating your personal life from your work life is very important in the Hollywood meat machine. Joe Rogan certainly is a lesbian. Not the sharpest knife in your neighbor Dave. Catch the little girl who lives down the lane, and then Joe drank too much horse spew on Fear Factor. It's possible. And here's the thing is Joe Rogan, I used to have a lot of respect for because he came out of karate, and I met him
from News Radio. Speaking of kids in the hall,
yeah, but before News Radio, I actually knew him from karate because he was a karate champion, and then out of karate he started comedy, and I was like, dude, this guy was like a karate champion, and then he went into comedy. Wow. And then he was on News Radio, and I was impressed by the fact he was acting, he did comedy, he was a karate champion, but when he got his podcast, my respect for him went downhill fast, because then I started hearing what the guy really thought, and he's not as smart as I thought he was. He's an announcer still for MMA, and so his fighting background comes out
when he's announcing for MMA. Still, but it's like he constantly tells people to stay in their own lane and to talk about what they know about, right? And he knows a lot about fighting, but he doesn't stay in his own lane. You know what I mean? It's like he talks about other things, and it's like, dude, you're not a doctor. Like, have a doctor on the show to talk about it instead. Yeah, but that's just me. I don't know.
Really, Marvin.
Okay, is that gaming? I do it the old-fashioned way with duct tape and the hot glue gun. Joe Rogan doesn't care about your opinion. He has a solid revenue stream. No kidding. Joe used Fortina on his podcast to lure in dumb kids with needle pushes, and then drama drives engagement. Yeah. Neil Gaiman, man. I was withholding judgment until I heard the evidence, and after reading a lot of the accounts, the Vulture articles, a lot of people I know in the industry sharing their stories, and people that I would trust them over like others. Are you done with your panel, or are you still working on it?
I'm pretty much done.
Okay, yeah, let me know when you're ready, and we can move on to the next panel, because I got a little bit left on this one.
I think Freaky Friday was the first Jodie Foster movie I saw. But of course, obviously, Taxi was one of her very first. But I guess that little girl down the lane was the very first. This first just says K.
Let's see. No, it's Jodie's first movie. Same here. Dogs playing poker. Pirates. So we have a suggestion for dogs playing poker. I don't know. Well, okay. The buffet table is stolen. Maybe there's a shuffleboard tournament. I don't know.
Wouldn't they try to spirit the salmon table away? Like, they're not going to sit there and eat, are they? Like, I see you have them there.
I'm glad I never got famous, so I never got to abuse fans. I think there is a correlation between low funds and lack of fame and acting honorably. With all the fish.
So, what do you guys think? Wouldn't they take this table of salmon to their own ship?
Let's see. Philo and one of the pirates reach for the same morsel, and their hands and tentacle meet. No, they're filching the whole buffet, says Kay.
I agree. And they should just go with it. So that should be the next panel. Them grabbing the whole thing with things trailing after them onto their own ship.
Okay, so that would be panel 6 is I like the word filch that Kay used. I think we should use that in the caption. And I think they filch the whole buffet should be your caption for the next panel, Teague.
All right.
And Dale says, oh, now I want salmon, smoked salmon, salmon candy.
Salmon candy?
Salmon candy.
No salmon candy for me. So what happens after they filch the buffet? All your buffets are mine. Well, okay.
They bring it to the captain, the captain of their ship, and he's revealed to be something like, okay, he isn't, but in my brain I want it to be something really absurd, like he's revealed to be a bagel with cream cheese. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe Philo, maybe the dog tries to stop the stealing of the buffet. I mean, that is their food. You know, like...
How would they stop them, though? They don't really... There's a lot of pirates there.
I was just thinking the dog would, like, bite onto the bottom of the table or something. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to keep it.
Sword fight with the shuffleboard stick.
Magic Marmot thinks that Mushroom Stowaway recognizes his bio dad as one of the pirates.
His bio dad.
As one of the pirates.
So what we're gonna do the B story from Pirates of the Caribbean with a bootstrap Bill.
Mushroom Stowaway recognizes bio dad. Hey, is that my new Facebook pal Kay?
Dale and Kay are now Facebook friends.
You know, Kay is friends with my friend Joe, which I think is really crazy. And I'm dying to know how Kay knows Joe. So Martin.
I don't know. Artists know each other.
Yes, Dale! Dale wants to know if anyone has suggested butt stuff since we're talking about pirates.
Yes.
We have a butt pirate in a jar.
Yeah,
I thought it was a brain. Was it a brain or a butt?
I think we capitulated and made it a butt.
Was it a butt or a butt? Oh, okay.
I think that's just its mystique.
Okay. Okay, so they filch the whole buffet. Then what happens is we got to get back to Philo because it's his show. And
you don't want to see what they're going to do with the buffet?
Well, they're filching it. That's what they're doing. They're going to eat it.
Oh, okay.
Nom, 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 nom. Let's see, probably through Minneapolis cartooning connections, says Kay.
But Joe lives in Toronto.
A disembodied butt-like thing is a hand. Let's see. So,
a thing like hand, like the thing in the Addams Family.
Yeah, like just a little butt walking around, like thing just walks around. It's just a hand.
Gliding on the floor. That's a lot of butt rash.
I'm gonna go not on my watch. And I'm gonna have Philo making a stand for salmon buffets
everywhere.
Yeah, you know, he has to get it. Let's see, a disembodied butt-like thing in a hand. Let's see. Toronto doesn't exist. It is what Canadians tell stupid tourists.
Okay, Dale. I only lived in Toronto for like 2 years when I was a kid. I only go to Toronto as often as I can because it's the only civilized city around me for miles and miles and miles. That would be really funny, Magic Marmot. I think that's hilarious. Magic Marmot thinks that the butt brain pirate should sneeze in his dome.
Robin is imaginary, says Magic Marmot. Or no, it says Magic Marmot. And then, hi Dale, world is small.
I lived in Toronto. Actually, I lived in Scarborough, which is nicknamed Scarberia because it's, I guess, so depressed economically. But when I lived there, it was okay. But yeah, Toronto. I lived on the two major cities in Canada. I lived in Vancouver and I lived in Montreal as an adult. And then as growing up as a kid, my dad was in the military, so we got posted a lot of different places. So I was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and lived there a couple of years. And then that's when we moved to Toronto and lived for a couple of years. And then we moved to Germany for 4 years because of NATO. And when we moved away back to Canada was when the Berlin Wall came down. And then we were back in Winnipeg for 3 years, and that's when I was in junior high. And then in my high school years, I was in Sault Ste. Marie, which is northern Ontario, just like the tip of the mitt in Michigan, like up here. And then we were there for 3 years, and then my dad got posted to Vancouver, and I stayed there for like 11 years, and then Montreal, and then China, and then now here. You went to Winnipeg for your honeymoon? Why? What was in Winnipeg for you? Was some like music sound audio museum? Like, oh my god, I hate Winnipeg. I like totally badmouth that place, but I'm just like, I am allowed. I was born there. It's awful.
I have to remember what a shuffleboard looks like.
Well, isn't it raised and then you're like clacking circles, kind of like mini curling on a board?
I remember it like being sort of like a ladder bracket thing. And then
But is it on the floor?
It's okay. Shuffleboard. It's like a puck, and then you have the shuffle, right? That's round, and you push it, and then it's a polished bit of wood between the two bits. It's the closest game is curling.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like curling. Because we have one at the old folks' home where I work. There's one in the basement. And there's like sand or cornmeal or something all over the board so the rocks move better. Probably cornmeal. But yeah, I think I remember seeing people place something on the floor of the cruise ship, so maybe it's shuffleboard that they do it on the floor for some reason. I don't know. I've never been on a cruise. I'd like to go on a cruise before I die.
If I go on a cruise, I want to go on an expensive cruise because the cheap cruises will make you sick. When
a cruise to Iceland would be pretty cool.
When I worked at Disney and stuff like that, I knew a lot of people that worked the Disney cruises, and I learned a lot about the ins and outs of how cruise ships operate. That scared me from ever wanting to be on a cruise ship. And albeit that was how Disney cruise ship operated, but area. like they do things like the buffets that sit out. They do things like they'll pick out the stuff that's obviously bad, and then they'll just rotate that into like crab salads and stuff for the next day, right? Like the crab that's been sitting out the previous day is now the crab salad. Yeah, it's like the crab salad for the next day.
Botulism.
Yeah, it's been in the sun all day. And so like one of the bits of advice I was given is if you're ever on a cruise ship, keep yourself lubricated with alcohol all the time to kill the bacteria in your stomach.
Or you can take carbon tablets. I learned or is it charcoal?
Well, but that would...
I can't remember. My friend, she used to, when we were in China and we'd get food poisoning, she'd give us either these charcoal tablets. I think they were charcoal. And they would like absorb what's in your belly and then you wouldn't get sick. That
interferes with medication.
Oh, yeah. I don't take medication.
Well, I do. And, there's... Yeah. So anyway, I learned a lot of ins and outs of cruise ships. When someone dies on a cruise ship, oftentimes they just keep them in their cabin. And
they don't put them in the freezer?
They don't keep them in their... There's no cold storage on a cruise ship for bodies. Mm-hmm. Right? There is for food, and they don't want to put them in with the food, right?
No, they wouldn't do that.
Keep them in their cabin. So if you're on a cruise ship and you start smelling something foul, it could be a body. Yeah, there's a lot of really nasty procedures that go on cruise ships because oftentimes they're in international waters where there's no oversight, so they can just do that shit. They're like if you're on American soil, there are certain laws you have to follow about the decorum of handling a dead body, right? Like you discover a dead body, you preserve that body until like an autopsy is done or anything like that, right? No, you're out in international waters. No, you just shove that somewhere where people won't see it so they have a good time. Even if it's murder.
They just have to follow
Magic Marvin says some cruise ships have body freezers. Yes, that's why I started this whole thing with saying if I ever was on a cruise ship, I would be on an expensive cruise because the expensive cruises have body freezers. Okay, the expensive cruises don't mix the old crab with the new crab to make new crab, right? The expensive cruises, they like follow safety guidelines and health stuff, but yeah, yeah.
Teague, you were saying something about the laws of international waters?
Teague, you're saying something about the laws of international waters? You're saying something about the laws of international waters?
Yeah, that they only have to follow the laws of the whatever country's flag they're registered under. That's why so many are under Panama and a couple other specific countries that tailor their laws to appeal to anyone running a international waters business.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And
shady, so shady.
Yeah.
One thing my mom told me that I thought was really depressing is, like, apparently in the States, probably happens in Canada too, I don't know, but people will just like abandon their old parents, like on the cruise, just like leave them there forever to die on the cruise.
I think that's just mom propaganda.
I mean, as far as, you know,
like, they get taken care of, and they just it's no different than an old folks home in a way. They're just on a boat.
Well, I know some people that have made that decision for themselves in their retirement, that they just want to stay on a cruise all the time. But I don't know about like where the son or daughter made that decision for them, you know? By the way, we are over time by 3 minutes so far, so this is going to be the last panel for both of us.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I've known people who've made that decision for themselves, but I've never met anyone where that decision was made for them by one of their children.
I mean, that was my retirement plan for a while there. Just get super discounted tickets as a kickoff. Few sessions each trip and pay for all nights with tips. Free food, I got like medical care on board.
Let's see. Don't give me ideas. Cannibal Cruise. Don't give you ideas. I regret not going on early Star Trek cruises. Philo has a watch. The folks at my dad's nursing home think they're at a seminar. Oh yeah, there are seniors who have done the math about retiring on cruises. Some seniors used to just because permanent residents of hotels. My mom wanted to die in her own home. And then a timeshare presentation.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do this. Kind of looks like shuffleboard there. A little bit. Kind of. Here, I'll put yours up. Yours looks a little bit better than mine.
Let's see. I bought a dog and a cat costume for my folks. I intend to kennel them.
It's like South Park when they all got Japanese weapons. And Butters got a ninja star to his eye and they wanted to fix it. So they like glued fur to him and took him to the half-blind vet.
I gotta catch up on South Park. I'm like years behind.
Oh, I've started rewatching it. I'm halfway through season 9. Because I was watching it when it was coming out on TV. And
yeah,
there are full seasons that I know I missed because I wasn't like watching a lot of TV in my 20s, right? I was having a life. And this was also like the late 90s, early 2000s, so it just wasn't like a big TV binge watching kind of culture yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there are episodes that I haven't seen that are just excellent that I quite enjoy. I've quite enjoyed watching for the first time.
Yeah, so much the
Bye,
Streaming
Dale.
Wars
Dale's
thing.
on his way out.
Bye, Dale.
Yeah,
Bye.
I'll send out reminders beforehand next time. Like I
I
used to do
haven't-
on Saturdays. I'm sorry.
I haven't got to
been
the
doing that.
Streaming Wars part. That's actually where I've stopped. Because I appreciate, like, I've always liked the show a lot. And I especially appreciate it when I get offended because it makes me think about, like, why I'm upset. And I've discovered actually that 9 times out of 10, the reasons I'm getting upset are because they're hurting Butters. Like the last episode I watched with Butters just drove me crazy because it was this episode where the girls had made a fortune teller, you know, one of those things where you do with the origami star thing where you're like telling fortunes,
Yeah.
right? And so they wanted the magic of the future teller, and they had Butters pretend to die so that he could pretend to be a girl so he could find out about the future, get the future teller, right? And like, but it was so harsh. Like his parents were like, his mother was devastated. They were just like, what? Like they didn't understand. Like, oh my God, it was brutal. But anyways, so the Streaming Wars, I know they're making fun of like Kathleen Kennedy from the Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there's like a lot of woke women stuff in it that I'm probably not going to like.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. Put a
stopped.
chick in it and make her gay and lame.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, I get it. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not. And like, I've loved them since the beginning, since the very beginning. Like, I respect them a lot. Like, it's probably my favorite cartoon of all time because I'm so faithful to it.
Yeah.
They always make you think. Like even when you think it's like stupid, it's really not. You really have to sit down.
I still find it amazing that they went to the Emmys high on acid dressed as women.
Gwyneth Paltrow and J-Lo, they were wearing Gwyneth Paltrow's dress from the Academy Awards, and they were wearing J-Lo's dress from the Academy, or maybe the Video Music Awards.
Yeah.
But they were super high, you're right.
No, they were on acid when they did
No, I know.
Yeah, and the thing is when they got out, they've talked about it in interviews and stuff. When they got out of the limo was right when the acid was hitting. So when they were doing their interviews and stuff was right when everything was really weird for them. And then they sit down and stuff, and they said probably about halfway through the ceremony was when they were coming down off of it, and they wanted nothing more than to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't. They had
none of that's their scene, you know what I mean? Like, they're not those kind of people anyways. And to even just show up like that was just a lark, which is why they were freaking high on acid.
Yeah.
But I got to see them live, and they told some really interesting stories. And when I left that theater, like, my cheeks were sore from laughing and smiling so much.
Yeah.
Like, of course, they're in Canada, so they did like a bunch of their songs, and then they did a Q&A. And so this is Canada, and they were just like, why do you rip on Canadians so much? And so they were like, well, the truth is we have a lot of Canadian writers, so they're really kind of ripping on themselves.
Yeah.
But he said, but people ask us this all the time because they have that Scott character who's like a total dick, and then they have Terrence and Phillip, and now it's even expanded to like, Prince Henry and like our Harry and all these other. There's a ton of Canadians now in the whole like South Park universe. But whenever they get asked about it, sorry.
But Terrence and Phillip was always like, when Terrence and Phillip had their big breakup, it was like, I don't like your tone, buddy. Well, I don't like your tone, guy. Guy, how dare you call me that, friend? I don't think you mean that, friend. I don't think you mean friend, buddy. It's like they're having this fight, but they're being polite with each other. I mean, oh my gosh.
So Canadian.
So
anyways, whenever anyone would ask them, like, why do you rip on Canadians? They would come up with a different answer every time just for shits and giggles. And one of the times was Scott Thompson from Kids in the Hall asked them, like, why are you always ripping on Canadians? And they answered, well, basically it's because you're an innocuous version of us.
Yeah.
And Scott Thompson got so mad that they were like, that's going to be our answer forever.
Yeah.
But the truth is they have a lot of Canadian writers.
Yeah. And if you can't take a joke, and I mean, most of the jokes about Canada aren't even like mean in nature. They
go pretty deep sometimes though. Like when freaking Mr. Garrison became president of Canada, that was hilarious. Oh my god!
How close
we built a wall to keep you out.
How close are you getting to done there, Teague?
I'm pretty much done. I'll just be putting in the background and shading.
Okay, yeah. We are 12 minutes over time, so I'm gonna call it the end, and we'll let you do background shading off camera, and and so yes, we have Philo and the dog and the little mushroom stowaway and Armand all on a space cruise, and pirates attack, and the pirates are stealing the buffet, and Philo says, not on my watch, and that's as far as we got with the story today. So I think we did pretty well.
Oh yeah, Magic Carmen. I think it's Johnny 5 you're thinking of.
Oh, the character in the back is reminding of a different character. I can hear the voice inside my head.
Johnny 5 from Short Circuit?
I maybe. So I would like to thank my guest today, Teague Tysseling, for filling in at the last second. We did have another guest planned today, James Banderas Smith, who had a heart attack about 2.5 weeks ago or so. He had triple bypass surgery, and so he was originally planned today, but Teague filled in at the last minute.
Thank you, Teague.
Very, very thanks, Teague. Thank you very much. And so we're wishing our best out to James and hope he's well. I know that he's home now from the hospital and starting on his road to recovery. He is scheduled again in May, so hopefully we'll see him again, and we'll see him again very soon. So again, I wanted to thank Teague for coming short notice and being such a good sport with us, talking about buffets and pirates and butts and brains and Canada and Kids in the Hall.
Buffets, butts and brains.
Butts and brains and Kids in the Hall. So thank you, Teague. I'm gonna say good night to you, and then Miss Robin, my better half, who knows way more about comics than I do, and got Scott Johnson off the top of her head and double checked herself and knew it right away. It was Scott Johnson, right? The writer?
No, Craig Robson.
Oh, Craig Robson. I was drawing at the time. But
it's all good.
Yeah,
it's esoteric and bits of information.
Yeah, you know way more about comics than I do, and that's why I love having you on the show, because you keep my brain intact. So thank you very much, Miss Robin. We will see you again next week. And then everybody out there in Philoverse, let me play out some music, because we got a Philo theme now, and so we're gonna play out, and I'll see you guys in the future. Have a good one.